Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Tutorly Test Prep. Today we'll be going over 7 hard problems for the May 2024 DSAT. Problem Sette number 6. The goal of the Problem Sette series is to provide an original worksheet of challenging problems right before the test date. This gives students the opportunity to push themselves while also reviewing a variety of topics. Please download the worksheet for free using the link in the description and attempt the problems yourself before watching this video. Let's get started. Okay, question number 1. Before watching this, guys, you should absolutely check out my series of shorts. There's 3 of them on exponentials plus time. I will link one of them in the card above. Definitely go watch all 3 of these because I go over this topic in great detail there. All right, so this is testing us on the equation y equals a times b to the t over n. Now, I go over this in the videos, guys. My instinct would be to rewrite this like this, where we reciprocate the 3, the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3, and put it on the bottom so that we could more easily deduce the interval. See how what I just wrote looks more like the general equation which we're trying to compare it to. A times b to the t over n, where a is the initial value, b is the multiplier, t is just time, and n is the interval. However, you see this question wants us to write it without anything in the exponent. So that's kind of a wrench they threw into this type of question. So we're not going to do this. That's what we would normally do, but we're not going to do that this time. What we're going to do is we're going to use the reverse of the distributive law to write this without the 3 in the exponent. So watch what I do. 5.92 to the 3 to the x. To the 3 to the x, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply. That would give you 3 times x. So this is just an equivalent way of writing that. Okay, so now I'm going to jump to the calculator, figure out what 0.92 to the 3 is. And I get f of x equals 5, 0.778688 to the x. Now this looks a lot more like the equation given in the question. And you'll notice, guys, there's this 1 minus p over 100. If you watch my Ottocento on percents, I believe it's Ottocento number 1, you will notice that that is the exact expression for a percent multiplier, in particular a percent decrease multiplier. So this guy is our multiplier, and it's just asking us in a roundabout way what the percent change is for that multiplier. So we're going to use, I go over this in the shorts, guys. In many of my shorts and pretty much all my videos, 100 times the percent multiplier minus 1 to find the percent change. So let me pull up Desmos. Okay, so 0.92 to the 3rd, and then we're going to do 100 times that number, which is our multiplier. You can approximate it, it doesn't have to be exact. And I get a percent change of negative 22%, which is a 22% decrease. So the value of p is approximately 22, which is answer choice C. Lots of stuff we need to know for this question. Y equals a times b to the t over n. How to go from the multiplier to the percent change. And we needed to know our rules of exponents, how to do rules of exponents in reverse, which is really, really tricky. Really, really tricky. Let's move on to question number 2. Okay, question number 2. So first things first, guys, you definitely want to make sure you check out my Ottocento number 10 on area and volume scale factors. I'm going to put that in the card above. Make sure you definitely check that out before your exam. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to translate this first sentence to an equation. So concentration is equal amount divided by volume. So I'm going to do concentration is equal to amount. For chemistry, amount, we use lowercase n. You can use whatever letter you want, over volume. I've gone over this in my trigonometry video, guys. So for reading the question later, you could see we probably want to calculate volume. So let's do some quick literal equation math to get V by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap these two guys. I went over this in my trigonometry video, my SOHCAHTOA video. Just a little algebra trick you can do when you have an equation like that. You can swap the denominator with the guy on the left. It's just 2 steps of algebra that we did in one. If you want to do it in 2 steps, you can multiply both sides by V and then divide both sides by C, and you should get the same thing. Okay, let's draw. It says we've got two containers, each in the shape of a cube. You should know from watching my Ottocento video that cubes are always similar. They are one of the pairs of shapes that are always similar, that show up pretty frequently on the SAT. You know, shapes like cubes, circles, spheres, circles, they're always similar to each other because they always have the same shape. So I'm going to draw 2 cubes. Let's draw a little one and a big one. Okay, they tell us in this sentence that the edge length of the larger container is 4 times the edge length of the smaller container. That's just a fancy way of telling us the length scale factor, which is K, which is 4. I go over in the video, this means that the volume scale factor is equal to K cubed, which is 64. So the volume of the big one is 64 times as big as the small one. Okay, that's really helpful. Now we're going to look at this sentence here, these 2 sentences here, and it says the concentration of the compound in the larger container is 3. Okay, so we're going to do some math on the larger container. So let's do that. So V equals, what is it? N over C. So N is 144 moles. And the concentration is 3. Let's see what that gives us. Gives me 48 cubic centimeters. Let's add that to our picture. And we talked about how this one is, the volume is times 64, the little one. So if I divide by 64, I'll get the volume of the little one, which is 48 divided by 64 is 0.75. So now we want the positive difference between the larger container's volume and the smaller container's volume. We're going to do difference is 48 minus 0.75, which is 47.25. And that would be the answer. And just for the sake of, student-produced response, let's also go over any other possible answers. The fraction equivalent of this, if you put it in Desmos, is 189 over 4. That would also be acceptable. Both of these are 5 characters or less. So we can put them into the student-produced response on Blue Book app. So Make sure you understand how to translate a sentence to an equation, and also make sure you really understand area and volume scale factors, because that's been showing up a lot on the digital DSAT recently. Great, let's keep going. Okay, question 3. This is an abstract question about parabolas. The digital DSAT really likes these. These showed up on the most recent practice tests recently. So first thing I notice is that it tells me f of negative 11 equals f of negative 1. So lots of people know, I can't remember if this one's facing up or facing down. I'm pretty sure it's facing down. I'm not sure, I have to check. So we'll see as we progress here. So lots of people understand that if you have x-intercepts, S and T, the x-coordinate of the vertex H is the midpoint of those two x-intercepts. What a lot of people don't understand is that you can use this exact same formula when you have two x values with the same y value. Because see, look, parabolas are symmetrical everywhere. So no matter what y value I pick, the vertex is always going to be in the middle of those y values. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. So we can use this formula, even though it's designed for x-intercepts, we can use it for any equivalent y values on the parabola. So what I'm going to do is, to quickly find the x-coordinate of the vertex, I'm going to do h equals negative 11 plus negative 1 over 2. And I get h equals negative 6. That is really important. I'm going to put a box around that. Let me rewrite it. Okay, now it's asking me about a plus b. So we also need to know this equation. H equals negative b over 2a. That is also super, super important. So I see that it's going to be asking me, it's going to be giving me information about b. So I am pretty sure that I want to get either a or b by itself, and then use the information we came up with about the negative 6. And see what we get. I think I want to get everything in terms of b, since they gave us information about b. So we're going to get a by itself. So to get a by itself, I'm going to multiply both sides by a. So I get ah equals negative b over 2. And then I'm going to divide both sides by h. And I get a equals negative b over 2h. Now I'm going to put in the h of negative 6, and I get negative b over 2 negative 6, and that's negative negative 1 over negative 12, so that's going to give me positive 1/12. So a is equal to 1/12 b. So that means a plus b is equal to 1/12 b plus b, which is equal to, what's 1/12 plus 1? 13/12 b. So let's now that we have that expression, let's answer the question now. It says b is an integer less than negative 3. What's the greatest possible value? Okay, so b is an integer less than negative 3. So if I make it negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, because 13/12 is positive, it's just going to keep getting smaller. A positive times a negative is negative. It's just going to keep getting smaller. So to find the greatest possible value of a plus b, I'm going to make b as big as possible. And it can't be negative 3. It's going to be an integer less than negative 3. So I'm going to make b equal to negative 4. And if we do that, the sum is equal to 13/12 times -4. And let's see what that is. That is -13/3, which is the answer to this question. For the sake of the Blue Book gap, let's pull up Desmos here and see what that is here. So we also could have put in -4 point, and you just keep going until you run out of space. 0.333. That's 5 characters plus a negative sign. So that would be good. Rounding and truncating gives you the same, so there's only one decimal answer. Great. So there's lots of important things to know here, guys. The 8x coordinate of the vertex is the midpoint of the two roots, the two x-intercepts, but it's also the midpoint of any points with equivalent y values on the parabola. And also h equals negative b over 2a. You want to get really comfortable with both these equations and do an algebra on both these equations. You may have to do 1 or 2 steps of algebra to get one of the other letters by itself. All right, before we move on, you still have to know all this. Before we move on, I think there's a way to do this on Desmos, so let me see if I can do that really quick. Okay, everybody, really important before we start going over this, less than, that means that you can't include -3. Less than or equal to you could, but less than you can't. Okay, so less than means it's got to be smaller than -3. So you see on Desmos, look on the left, really all I did was type all this in that we came up with. So S, our root, it's not really a root, but similar, as we talked about, -11, and t equals -1. I calculate h, I calculate a using the equation we came up with, and I just come up with some random number for b. So -4, and then I put like a bunch of, I made the slider from -20 to -4 with a step of 1 because we're only looking at integers. You can kind of see that here. So you see, can't be -3, so it's got to be -4 or smaller. You see, if I make -4, if I make it smaller, the sum gets smaller. It just keeps going down. So the slider can be really helpful for you to realize that here. You see, if I make it -4, we get a sum of -4.333, which is -13/3, which is what we got. So we're happy with our answer. Great. Let's keep going. Okay, question number 4. So it says we got an equilateral triangle inscribed in a circle. We'll go over what that means in a second. Why don't we just quickly go over the important facts about an equilateral triangle so we're all on the same page. So an equilateral triangle, should have a video coming out on this kind of soon, has all congruent sides, and all the angles are 60 degrees, so 60, 60, 60. So it looks like that. If we call the side length S, then the area of the equilateral triangle is √3/4 S squared. I'm probably not going to use that when I do this one, but you'll find that that can be helpful for other problems. Okay, great. So let's start making the picture. So we got a circle. And an equilateral triangle kind of inscribed within. So it's going to look something like this. I'm not doing a good job drawing this to scale, guys. Maybe I should have had a computer make the drawing, but this is all perfectly symmetrical. It's like a symmetrical shape within a symmetrical shape. Everything's going to cut itself in half and everything. I'm just not doing a good job making that clear on the drawing, so sorry about that. Okay, so the radius is 8. So the strategy we're going to do here, pretty much with any combined shapes question with a circle, is we're often going to have to draw a radius or a diameter in a convenient location. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a radius here. Oh, by the way, remember, guys, this is all 60, 60, 60. And if you drew 3 radii, these would all be like 120. Anyway, that's not that important. Let's mark all these congruent. Okay, so I'm going to draw a radius to where the triangle touches the circle because I bet that's going to help me figure stuff out. So I'm going to drop a perpendicular. The 60 got cut in half, so he's 30. And that means this guy is 60. And this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, which is on the reference sheet. Give me one moment while I pull up the 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay, 30, 60, 90 triangle is up there. Definitely check out my short on special right triangles and check out my Ottocento number 7 on special right triangles. This is exactly how it looks like on the reference sheet. I just made it purple. That's all. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. They told us the radius is 8. So that's the radius. And we see that the radius is 2x across from 90. Across from 60 is x root 3. And then across from 30 is x. So if 8 is equal to 2x, that means x is equal to 4. And that means this guy is equal to 4. And this guy is equal to 4 root 3. And if that is half the side, that means this whole side is double that. So 8 root 3. And that means that if we draw another radius over here, this guy is also 8. So you guys kind of see where this is going. The base is 8 root 3. And the height is 8 plus 4, which is 12. So let's write that down. Base equals 8 root 3. Height equals 12. The area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So we're going to do 1/2 8 root 3 times 12. What is that? 1/2 times 8 times 12. That is 48 root 3 is the area of the triangle. And I kind of glossed over this, so I'll go over it now, guys. That's not the answer because the question wants the area of the region that lies within the circle but outside the triangle. So it wants us to find this area. All this area outside the triangle but inside the circle. So what we're going to do for any question like this is the area of the shaded region is equal to the area of the enclosed area minus the area of the unshaded region, which is in this case the triangle. So if we find the area of the circle, we're basically done. So the area of the circle, area equals pi r squared. So pi, the radius is 8 squared. So the area is 64 pi. So the area of the shaded region is 64 pi minus 48 root 3. And we can't put that in a student-produced response, so the question says round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, let's go to Desmos. 64 pi minus 48, and then SQRT does square root 3. So if we round to the nearest tenth, and we have to round because they told us to round. We can't just truncate. They told us we have to round. So the final answer, there's only one correct answer, properly rounded to the 10th. So 0.92. So 2 is 5 or above, give it a shove. 4 or below, let it go. So 2 is 4 or smaller, so we're going to round down. So this is 117.9. And that is the answer. Great, let's keep going. Okay, question 5. This question actually tests us on 2 concepts, linear system, how many solutions, and percent relations. I have videos going over both these things. Future editing Kyle, please put in the card above the Ottocento on how many solutions, because it's the best video I've ever made. And if you haven't watched it, my disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. All right, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I go over this In the Ottocento video number 6, the first thing we're going to do when we see fractions like this, guys, is we're going to clear the denominators. So to clear the denominators, we're going to find the LCD, least common denominator, of both equations and multiply the entire equation by that LCD. Hopefully we see that for 7 and 7, that the LCD is just 7. So we're going to multiply by 7. For the top one, 2 and 8, it is just 8. If you guys have trouble seeing that, I don't think it's that helpful for this one, but maybe for a different problem. There is a command in Desmos that you can use to find LCMs very easily. I mean, super redundant for the one on the bottom, but you see the LCDs are both least common multiples of the denominators. LCDs are 8 and 7. So let's come back over here. Okay, I now don't care about any of that. Okay, so I get 3ax equals 8 divided by 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 15y. Then I get 18y minus 28 equals 7 divided by 7 is 1. So 4bx minus 63. And now remember, guys, we want to get it to look like ax plus by equals c, kind of this pseudo-standard form. Well, looking at the first one, I see that the only guy that I don't like where he is the 15y. So I'm going to take him and subtract him over to the other side. So I get 3ax minus 15y equals 12. And this bottom one is twofold. I got to move this guy over here by subtracting 4bx. And then I have plus 18y. And then I have to add 28 over to the other side. So 28 plus negative 63 gives me negative 35. All of a sudden, this is looking really good. And remember, guys, from the Ottocento video and from my shorts, that if we see a system with no solution, that means that A over D equals B over E, which is not equal to C over F. So let me highlight these constants, make it easier for you guys to see. Okay, so we're going to do 3a over negative 4b equals negative 15 over 18 is not equal to 12 over negative 35. You can imagine if we're trying to learn something about this problem, we probably don't care about what it's not equal to. I go over that in the video. So we're just going to look at what is equal. And we're going to cross multiply. So 3a times 18, that's 54a. And then negative 4 times negative 15b, that's 60b. Now I'm going to look at the second part of the question where it says if b is, okay, so I want to get b by itself. First, let me just switch this around, make it easier to see what we're about to do. And so I want to get b by itself and then learn something about a. So to get b by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 60. And I get b equals 54 by 60 is 0.9. And all of a sudden, if I copy down this sentence next to it, b is p% less. I go over this in my percents, my Ottocento on percents, and my percent shorts. So you see, oh wait, b is means equals A. So this part, p% less, we're going to get from this multiplier, which is 0.9. Don't forget, guys, that the percent change, the word less, is a decreasing word. So that tells me I'm doing an increase-decrease multiplier. If instead of less it said of, I would only have to multiply by 100. But because there's an increase-decreasing word, I have to subtract 1 and then multiply by 100. So if I do 100 times the percent multiplier minus 1, so 100 minus 1, I get negative 10. So this is a negative 10% change, which is a 10% decrease, or in other words, 10% less. So P is equal to positive 10. So lots of important stuff we had to know here, guys. I promise you, I have yet to see a problem where clearing the denominators and setting up these proportions doesn't work. So please, please, please make sure you understand how to clear denominators and you know the proportions, the equations that I went over in my Ottocento number 6. Very important video to watch. Before we move on, we're going to go back to Desmos and type in the original just to put this all together and to see if we did this right. So let's say, okay, so 3a slash 8x equals 3 halves. Oops, doing this wrong. 3a slash 8x equals 3 halves plus 15 8y. And then 18 sevenths y minus 4 equals 4b over 7x minus 9. And we don't know what a and b are, but we could pick values to see if we did a good job. So we know b is equal to 0.9a. And how about I just pick a random number? How about 45 for a? And I'm going to make it smaller, make it easier to see. How about 8? Okay, so you see that means a is 8, b is times 0.9, so 7.2. And if I zoom in, both of these lines certainly seem like they have no solution. So it seems like as long as we interpreted that 0.9 correctly, which we did, it seems like we did it right. This bodes really well. Even if this didn't give you the answer, it gives you some confidence so that you can, stop worrying about it and move on to the next question. Great, let's keep going. Okay, question number 6. I'm going to link in the card above my Ottocento number 5 on function translations. We go over exactly how to do these. Please go watch it before your exam. Great. All right, so first things first, guys, I'm going to just once again clear the denominators. I don't want to have to deal with fractions. The question's already hard enough. I don't want to have to deal with fractions if I don't have to. So let's go back here. Let's quickly deduce the LCD. The denominators are 8, 2, and 6. The least common multiple of those numbers is 24. So we are going to multiply the whole equation by 24. Okay, 24 by 3, 15x. 24 by 2 is 12, 12 times 3 is 36, negative 36y. 24 by 6 is 4, 11, 44, 44, minus 44. Okay, so this is just the equation of the original line before we do anything. So if you watch my video, guys, the strategy, when we do not have y by itself, this is called an implicit relation. When we have an implicit relation, y is not by itself, what we're going to do is we're going to replace all x with x minus h, and we're going to replace all y with y minus k. And believe it or not, the SAT does expect you to know this. So one helpful way to remember is that it's very similar to the equation of a circle. Anyway, so let's look at the thing. So if we go left 4 units, left is the negative x direction. So that means h equals -4. And then if we go up 5 units, that's up is positive y direction. So that means k is 5. So x minus h is equal to x minus -4, which is x plus 4. So we're going to replace the x's with x plus 4. And y minus k is y minus 5. So we're going to replace the y's with y minus 5. Notice how the signs got changed. That's supposed to happen for these types of questions. Okay, so we're going to replace the x with x plus 4. So let's do that. 15 x plus 4 equals -36. And we're going to replace the y with y minus 5. Y minus 5 minus 44. So this is our new line. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the question. It says it wants the x coordinate of the x-intercept. So to find a y-intercept, we set x equal to 0. But to find an x-intercept, x-coordinate of an x-intercept, we set y equal to 0, and that's what we're going to do here. So that's just for any question. You're really going to want to make sure you know that. You'd hate to do all this work and then not know how to find the intercept. Okay, great. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make y equal to 0. So let's do 15 x plus 4 equals -36. 0 minus 5 minus 44. Okay, so that's -5 times -36. That's 180. And then minus 44, that's 136. And I could divide or I could distribute. I really don't want to get fractions till the end, so why don't I distribute? 15x, 15 times 4 is 60, equals 136. And I'm going to do 136, subtract 60 from both sides. I get 15x equals 76. Now I'm going to divide 76 divided by 15 on my calculator. It's a messy decimal, so I'm going to use the fraction. I get 76 over 15. Doesn't simplify according to the calculator. And that is the answer, 76 over 15. You can, of course, put in some decimals, but why would you? 76 over 15 fits nicely into the grid. It's 5 characters, so we're all good. Let's go over how we could maybe do it with Desmos helping us. So let me scroll up here. Let's make h -4, that's 4 left. And we'll make k 5 up, that's positive 5. And then I'll just type in this equation without even the original equation. So 5x minus h over 8 equals -3. Because if I don't have to do the math, I don't care that there's fractions, right? If I'm going to use Desmos, -3 y minus k over 2 minus 11 over 6. Okay, so it should look something like this. Okay, and I'm looking for the x-coordinate of the x-intercept, so I'm going to click on the x-intercept. And it tells me 5.067, which would be right. And let's put the actual exact answer next to it just so you can kind of see that we're very lucky with Desmos. It truncates it to, it rounds it just enough characters we need. We get 5 characters, 5.067, 5 characters. So that is great. So you could put 5.067. So if you were going to do it by hand, I would do 76 over 15. If you're going to do it by Desmos, I would do 5.067. I suppose you could also truncate, which means you did it by hand and just felt like doing a decimal. I don't know why you would do that. You could do 5.066 as well, but I would definitely go with 5.067 because Desmos just tells us that. And that is really convenient. Great, let's keep moving. Okay, question number 7. So definitely check out in the card my Ottocento number 9 on basic statistics. I go over exactly how to do median of frequency tables, which is what this question's testing us on. You'll notice this is kind of a hybrid frequency table. There's 2 sets of frequencies. There's 2 sets of data. Not really going to affect what we do. It's a little confusing to look at, but it's the same idea. Okay, so they tell us the sample size of each sample is the same. That's really convenient. There's 56 male basketball players and 56 female basketball players. So each data set has 56. That means n equals 56. So I go over in my Ottocento video, the position of median formula is n plus 1 over 2. So I get 56 plus 1 over 2. I do that on a calculator, and I get 28.5. The 28.5 tells me 28.5 is smack between 28 and 29. So the median is smack between, or in other words, the average of the 28th and 29th for both data sets. So if we can find the 28th and 29th number in each of these data sets, we've essentially solved the problem. So we're going to now use cumulative addition on each of them. So how about we do, and once we hit 28 or 29, we'll stop. If we get lucky, both numbers will be in the same row, so we won't have to do any math, any extra math. So 2, that's not big enough, right? 2 plus 5, that's 7. 2 plus 5 plus 10, that's 17. Still haven't hit 28 yet. Gotta keep going. Plus 10, that's 27. Still haven't hit 28 yet. Gotta keep going. Plus 19. Okay, that's 46. So I'm gonna stop here. And the median for the males is 76 inches. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for the females. So same deal, want to hit 28, 29. Okay, 7, no good. 7 plus 9, that's 16, no good. Plus 12, that's 28. Okay, so the 28th is here, which is a 70. And if we add 12, we get 40. So certainly the 29th is here. So the 29th is a 73. So since we didn't get the same number for both of them, we actually have to go through and do the averaging, right? The average of 2 identical numbers is just that number, right? The average of 6 and 6 is just 6, right? But we got 2 different numbers, so we have to take the average of I think 70 and 73. So 70 plus 73 over 2. Let's see what that is. I'm getting 71.5 on my calculator here. So that is the median for the females. Okay, great. Now it wants us to find the positive difference between the median height for the males and the median height for the females. So we're just going to take the positive difference. You can either do absolute value bars or you can just put the bigger one first. That's what I'll do. So 76 minus 71.5. which is 4.5. And that is our answer. I'm cool going with the decimal, especially for a statistics problem, but if the decimal comes out nicely. If you wanted to use the fraction, that would also be accepted in the Blue Book app, which is 9/2. Very good. Let's keep going. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. I wanted to take this time to let you know about my post-DSAT live stream, which will be on Saturday, May 4th from about 1 p.m. to about 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope you can make it. And as always, I wish you the best of luck on your exam. May the 4th be with you. Peace.